The police cars came before dawn, their sirens silent, their lights flashing against the quiet suburban street. Neighbors awoke to a surreal scene, armed officers stepping out in tactical gear, their voices firm but hushed, their movements rehearsed. At the center of the storm was a house everyone knew. White siding, a neat porch swing, a well-tended lawn. It was the home of Coach Daniel Mercer. He had lived among them for 15 years. He had coached their children's soccer teams, led after-school programs, organized fundraisers for cancer research. He had spoken at town halls about discipline and responsibility. He had been welcomed into living rooms, trusted without hesitation. That morning, the illusion shattered. A battering ram struck the front door. Officers stormed inside. Within minutes, Mercer was dragged out in handcuffs, his once pristine polo shirt wrinkled and stained with sweat. His face, normally framed by an easy smile, was pale and drawn. Cameras caught everything, neighbors filming from their windows, reporters scrambling onto the scene. The headline would write itself: "Beloved coach arrested in child exploitation case." No one wanted to believe it. But as detectives would later reveal, the mask had been cracking for years. Daniel Mercer arrived in town with little fanfare. He was 30, tall, athletic, and spoke with a warm confidence that made people lean in. He applied for a position at the local high school as a physical education teacher and assistant coach. Within a year, he wasn't just another staff member. He was indispensable. Parents admired him. Kids adored him. He had a way of making every child feel seen, especially those who struggled. "He believed in me," one former student would recall years later, her voice trembling with disbelief. He started weekend training camps, free for families who couldn't afford private lessons. He drove kids home after practice when parents were busy. He showed up at birthday parties, graduations, even funerals. Mercer wasn't just a coach. He was a fixture of the community. And with each act of generosity, he built a fortress of trust. There were whispers, of course. A mother once complained that Mercer seemed too affectionate with the boys. Lingering hugs, hands on shoulders, long conversations behind closed doors. Another parent thought it odd that Mercer volunteered to chaperone almost every overnight trip. But those voices were drowned out by praise. "He's like family," one father said. "I wish more men were like him." The town saw what it wanted to see: a man who cared. They missed what lay beneath. The first real sign came from a boy named Ethan. 14, shy, often picked last in sports. He had joined Mercer's training camp 2 years earlier. Mercer took him under his wing, praising his potential, giving him extra hours of practice. Ethan started to idolize him. Then Ethan's grades slipped. He grew withdrawn, anxious. He stopped eating at the dinner table. His parents thought it was typical adolescence, until one night, Ethan broke down sobbing. "He's not who you think he is," he whispered. The words came out in fragments, halting, as if each one carried the weight of shame. He spoke of text messages, of late-night check-ins, of secrets he was told never to share. His parents' faces blanched. They recorded his testimony and went straight to the police. Detectives listened carefully. Ethan's story fit a disturbing pattern: grooming. Mercer had positioned himself as a mentor, offering praise, special privileges, and affection. He blurred boundaries until silence seemed like loyalty. Investigators began digging quietly. They pulled Mercer's phone records, interviewed former students, checked travel logs from overnight trips. The deeper they went, the darker it became. There were other boys. One admitted he had been invited to Mercer's home for film study sessions, which always ran late into the night. Another said Mercer often gave him gifts, sneakers, sports equipment, even cash. A third boy recalled being told he was special, that no one else could understand him the way Coach did. The grooming was textbook. and chillingly effective. But gathering testimony wasn't enough. Detectives needed hard evidence. So they watched. Unmarked cars parked near Mercer's home. Surveillance cameras tracked his movements. A court order gave access to his emails and cloud storage. Piece by piece, the truth came into focus. Private chat rooms, encrypted messages, hidden folders on external drives. Each discovery chipped away at the town's denial. The man they had trusted was living a double life. When detectives finally made their move, it wasn't just to arrest Mercer. It was to dismantle an entire network he had built in secret. The hidden drives contained thousands of files, conversations, images, meticulously catalogued material spanning nearly a decade. Some files suggested he hadn't acted alone. Others implicated him directly, beyond doubt. The district attorney authorized a sting. Undercover officers posed as teenagers online, drawing Mercer into conversations. He was cautious, but not cautious enough. Within weeks, he arranged a meeting with someone he believed to be a 15-year-old boy. Instead, he was greeted by law enforcement. The arrest made national headlines. Overnight, Mercer went from role model to monster. The trial was grueling. Survivors testified, their voices shaking as they recounted how trust was twisted into fear. Parents sat in the gallery, some weeping, others glaring with barely contained rage. The defense tried to paint Mercer as misunderstood, a man who had crossed boundaries but never committed crimes. But the evidence was overwhelming. Emails, photos, journals in his own handwriting, testimonies from multiple victims. The jury deliberated for less than a day. The verdict: guilty on all counts. When the sentence was read, 120 years with no possibility of parole, a murmur swept through the courtroom. Some cried in relief. Others sat in stunned silence. The golden boy of the community was gone. In his place stood a predator who had hidden in plain sight. Years later, the town still carries the scars. Parents who once trusted freely now second-guess every adult who takes an interest in their children. Teachers, coaches, and volunteers face stricter background checks, harsher scrutiny. The soccer field where Mercer once led practice stands half empty. For the survivors, healing is a lifelong journey. Ethan, now in his 20s, has spoken publicly about his ordeal. He describes the weight of betrayal more than the acts themselves. "He made me believe I mattered," he said at a victims advocacy event. "Then he used that belief to hurt me." His words resonate because they capture the essence of Mercer's crime, not just the exploitation of children, but the weaponization of trust. The community, too, has been forced to confront uncomfortable truths. Evil does not always wear a mask of menace. Sometimes, it smiles, volunteers, and shakes your hand. The case of Daniel Mercer is a reminder. Predators thrive where suspicion is silenced, where trust is blind. And perhaps the most haunting truth of all, behind every mask, there may be another Mercer waiting to be unmasked.